Very much indeed. This is Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. I'm sure you know by now that the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has been able to, in his own wisdom and per the wish of the public, suspended some MPs who were captured in the brawl in Parliament. Let's first of all hear that announcement by the Speaker of Parliament that he wasn't happy, expressing his displeasure and also giving that directive. Listen to the Speaker of Parliament.
Let there be no doubt, Parliament's credibility has been seriously undermined, and urgent punitive action has to be taken since this was done contemptuous parliamentary in facio parliamentary. Consequently, the following members are suspended from the sittings of Parliament for 2 weeks from today. Do you want me to repeat it? Yes. You want the Latin part? Their actions The honorable member is so keen in listening to the Latin phrase. I'm not sure he's studying law, but it's not even known to Dr. Amwa. What I said is this: let there be no doubt, Parliament's credibility has been seriously undermined, and urgent punitive action has to be taken since this was done contemptuous parliamentary in facio parliamentary. Consequently, the following members are suspended from the sittings of Parliament for 2 weeks from today. They are 1 and 2, the 2 chief whips, in the persons of Mr. Roxon Nelson Eche, Kwame Dafiamako, and Mr. Frank Ano Dompre. 3, Mr. Alasan Suleimana Tampuli. And 4, Mr. Jerry Ahmed Shaib.
Sunrise
Leaders
3FM, the best
from the various caucuses should take the consequential actions to continue with their leadership. But the Marshal is hereby directed to ensure the full enforcement of this suspension in accordance with the rules of the House. As Speaker, I reaffirm my commitment to restoring the dignity of this House. The people of Ghana deserve a parliament that exemplifies leadership, integrity, and discipline. Members must reflect deeply on their conduct and be reminded that they hold their seats in trust for the people. The events of 30th January 2025 and this morning must not be repeated. Let the pursuance of the provisions of the Constitution 1992 and the standing orders of Parliament, I further direct the Clerk to Parliament to formally lodge a complaint with the Ghana Police Service to conduct a full criminal investigation into the matter for appropriate action.
And that was the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sabana Kingsford Bagbin. Well, he had to put this out and was very, very livid about the situation. But the Parliament is guided by its own rules, and they are master of their own rules. They have their own standing orders, as they like to call it, which guides what they ought to do in Parliament and what they don't have to do in Parliament. We will get into the standing orders in a bit and try and understand what exactly the standing orders have been telling us. Because we have the standing orders now. This is what order
129 and 130.
Okay, so what does it say?
So order 129, if we can go up just
check it up or no.
Right. So the order 129 that is captured in the standing orders of Parliament, this is what it talks about. It is talking about disorderly conduct. And I read to you exactly what it says. So 1291, a member, minister or deputy minister engages in disorderly conduct where the member, minister or deputy minister persistently breaches these orders.
103 FM.
2 is despite order 123 where the speaker calls the attention of the House to the conduct of a member or minister or deputy minister who persists in irrelevance or tedious repetition either of the argument of the member, minister or deputy minister, or the argument used by another member in a debate, the speaker may direct the member, minister or deputy minister, to discontinue the speech. That is one. Then the next one is the speaker may order a member, minister or deputy minister, whose conduct is persistently disorderly to withdraw immediately from the House during the remainder of the sitting of that day, and the member, minister or deputy minister, shall withdraw immediately. The 4 says that where the member, minister, or deputy minister disregards the authority of the speaker to withdraw, the speaker shall invite the marshal to act on the order, and the speaker shall suspend the member. The 5th one also talks about something similar, where the speaker considers that the sanctions under this order are inadequate. The speaker may name the member, minister, or deputy minister. Then there's 6th and 7 as well. This is related to happenings in the chamber, especially in relation to statements made by members, ministers, deputy ministers, where the speaker may have issues with. Now, order 130 talks about the suspension of member for disorderly conduct. This is where a lot of the issue is coming from. Where a member is found to be in contempt of Parliament under order 129, the member shall be suspended immediately from the House, and unless the House otherwise decides, the suspension shall be on the first occasion for 4 sitting days, on the second occasion for 8 sitting days, and on the third or subsequent occasions for 12 sitting days, except that A, in calculating the period of suspension of a member, the day on which the member was suspended shall be included, and unless the House otherwise orders, the period of suspension shall not extend beyond the end of the session. The last in order 130, and I'm talking about 1302, is that the speaker shall call the attention of the House to the fact that force is necessary in order to compel obedience where a suspended member refuses to obey the direction of the speaker to leave the House, and the member shall be forcefully removed from the House by the marshal accordingly. This is what, if you like, is a gray area or is not too clear. It's not giving the speaker the mandate to suspend these members of Parliament, 5 of them, because it is not explicitly clear in the standing orders of Parliament or in the country's constitution.
So that's where the conundrum is, really. I mean, and one would ask that, where did the speaker err? Sixtus.
But did Crosby say it is not clear?
Yes, it is not.
Suspension of a member for disorderly
You read it,
conduct.
then.
Yes.
131.
Read it
Of the
again.
standing orders.
Read it
So-
again, Crosby.
Where a member is found to be in contempt of Parliament under Order 129, the Order 129 we
Yes,
read.
that's what we read.
And the Order 129 was mainly talking about happenings on the floor of
On the
Parliament
floor
in
of the
relation to
House.
statements
Yes.
made.
Yes.
The member
Now,
shall
wait,
be-
so clearly-
The committee is an extension of
Yes,
the House.
yes.
So it's the floor of the House.
But clearly, Crosby, the framers of this standing orders did not expect members of Parliament to be destroying state
So
property.
that is why this. That
And
is
be
why
breaking
it's not
chairs.
explicit. Yes.
So the framers of this standing, this new standing, because this is the new one.
Yes.
The
yes.
old one did not consider it, and this new standing order did not also anticipate that members of Parliament.
will be so disorderly
Giving-
as to break
giving-
tables and
yes.
chairs and microphones.
And if you have seen the standing order, book, right, Crosby, you would know that right from the beginning, it tells you how a member of Parliament should conduct themselves, blah blah
Exactly,
blah blah
yes.
blah blah. First time MPs, it goes all the way. All for us to come to 130.
So if we're going by the standing orders of Parliament, did what happen in Parliament on Friday or on Thursday? Did what happen in Parliament? Does it fall under 129? That is the
Contempt
question.
of Parliament.
Yes. Okay, let's
No,
start from
129.
here.
I'm talking about disorderly conduct
On
of
the
the
floor
members.
of
but
the
was
House.
it
Your
not
point is that it did not happen on the floor of the House.
No,
by
that's
definition.
That's not what he's saying. He
that's
says
not my
that
point.
the
He says
disorderly.
129.
Yes,
And
so
129 speaks to issues, debates,
Right. Statements.
statements, all those things. A member is on the feet, another member
Yes,
interrupts and disrupts.
And we know
that's
that
what you are talking
the
about.
Committee of Parliament is an extension, so it still
Yes.
covers that same
Right.
thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
But it does not. What happened on Thursday or on Friday?
You are looking
does it-
for a specific definition.
Exactly.
That if you destroy microphones in
Is it mentioned here? If we're going,
what-
we all
That's
know-
what you are looking for.
That's what we're
Were
talking about.
you not in this country when Ernesto Eboa went to the chamber shouting, drop
Drop
that
that
chamber?
chamber, yeah.
They picked him up. Did he
Yes.
destroy anything? No, he was just drop that chamber.
So you are looking for a definition of
That says
disorderly
if you
conduct.
break
It's
a
not me
chair
who
or
is
a
looking
table.
for the definition. It is the people who say that what the speaker has done is not grounded in law. We're talking about the law here. It's not inside the standing orders of Parliament.
But do you know
So-
that?
You understand?
Do you know that?
under that, the people are looking for where Chairman Ahiafo would have said order. Then
You quote order one something something
quote
something.
order one, or when he said the order, the member would have said, "No, Mr. Speaker, I won't order." Then he will say,
That is what the law captures. That is what the standing.
no,
we're not talking about common sense. We're not talking about right and wrong here.
relax,
we're-
Crosby, relax.
What is your
let me start from here.
What is your definition of contempt?
It is like when Vomawo went before
The committee.
the committee, and through his lawyer said that the thing he wrote, he did not intend for us to interpret it the way we interpret it. It is the same thing that is happening
Your
here.
thinking is not my thinking. Yeah, my thinking is different from your
I am
thinking.
responsible for what I wrote, not
Yeah.
how you interpreted it.
But that's
That is the same thing we are seeing here. We are attempting to hide under interpretation to say that the attitude we saw, the behavior we saw, was becoming of members of Parliament. It is not becoming
That
of
is not
members
what
of
we are saying.
Parliament. Relax for me. Relax for me.
The best.
I'm
in
saying
the
that
morning.
if you look at the incident, how it started and where it got to, where it escalated, you would have seen that there was a certain attempt to stop the process.
Okay.
Then the chair at that material moment, the member presiding at that particular moment said that, look, nobody had been smuggled in. The word was smuggled.
Right.
Yes, we have to continue. Another group said, no, we cannot continue. We are tired. The other group said, no, but you wasted all the time. So you cannot turn around to say you are tired. You have to sit and continue with the case. So this was the interactions on the floor of the
Look,
House.
find me what the public think regarding the conduct of the members of Parliament and the decisions that the Speaker took on them.
The Musa Dankwa.
Musa Dankwa Global Info Analytics.
Yes.
Support for the suspension of 4 MPs. 79% of the people that Global Info Analytics spoke to said they are in full support. 12% said no. 9% said They have no opinion. Well, but we know a private legal practitioner, Lawyer Justice Abdullahi with Crown Legal Bureau, joining us here now on the phone line. Counsel, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Great.
Johnny.
Yes, sir. Now, first of all,
Yes.
what did the Speaker err in law by suspending the 4 members of Parliament for the period that he has suspended them for?
Well, I've had arguments to that effect, but I completely disagree. In one part, and I agree on the other.
Sunrise on
I
3FM.
think that
Best in the morning.
charging the members for the unlawful distraction is what the Speaker. I would agree that the Speaker probably erred. My position on that would be that those conducts were criminal conduct. Distraction of public property is particularly by members of Parliament. I was hoping that the Speaker would take a more severe action by reporting them to the police for prosecution.
Well, he has done that. The Speaker has directed the police to take action. He says that upon investigation they will be surcharged, and they have been suspended, forthwith. So we know that, and they were in fact on that same day removed from the vetting committee. For those of them who were on the vetting committee, they were removed, and the committee was reconstituted for the work of the committee to continue.
Fantastic. So Johnny, the good part is that you've taken the seal out of my cap. So that's what I actually wanted to happen, and it is for me to show some level of exemplary leadership. I mean, if we cannot have our members of Parliament being lawless when we expect the best from the rest of us. You and I and the rest of our society may engage in all these activities, and when we do so, you've noticed that we are dealt with so severely by the police and by other lawful authorities, sometimes even unlawfully. Just imagine the number of media men who have been maimed and beaten to pulps by the Ghana police simply for sometimes covering demonstrations in Ghana. If that could happen to a media man for just doing his lawful work, and a whole member of Parliament can get angry to the point of destroying public property, I think we need to show leadership. We need to show examples from people that we call honorable, the people that lead us. We need to let them use them as scapegoats. And I love the stance the Speaker has taken. I think it ought to be more severe, and it ought to send the right signals to the rest of Ghana.
I see. Musa Dankwa is joining us from the Global Info Analytics. Musa, thank you very much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Great. Now, I see that you have done some work on the actions taken by the Speaker following the misbehavior, the chaotic situation that we saw in Parliament. I'm reading here 79% of the people you spoke with said yes, they support and endorse the Speaker's action. 12% said no. 9% said they had no opinion. First of all, tell us, what numbers of people did you talk to?
We spoke to nearly 500 and 952 voters. About 445 were online, and then 507 or so were in person, in the field, across all the 15 regions.
And what exactly did you ask them?
We asked them several questions. We asked them whether they believe Ghana is headed in the right direction or wrong direction, and whether they approve of the work John Mahama is currently doing as president. And then we also asked them about their standard of living compared to last year, and whether they are optimistic it will change or improve in the next 12 months. We also did ask them questions about the overall assessment of the committee, of the vetting or committee.
Right.
And then also the performance of the chairman of the committee and of Apenyu Martin, as well as the perception that the vetting is being used to score political points. Whether they agree to that or they don't. And then finally, we asked them about whether they support the action taken by the Speaker to suspend the 4 MPs.
Well, what should this research that you have done mean to Parliament at this time, especially looking at the kind of perception and the image they have put out there in the minds of the people?
One is to let them see that overall the committee as a whole is assessed positively. More than 63% are okay with the work they are doing. They are satisfied. But when it comes to the chairman of the committee, his performance rating is lower than that of the committee as a whole. 50, I think, 4% or thereabout. So he is next in terms of assessment. But down the line is Afenyo Martin, who is below around 36%. It means that he is very unpopular among Ghanaian voters with the way he's doing his job on the committee. And that he must use to inform his next move as the committee continues sitting.
I see. Just let me ask you, two of the persons who have been suspended are leaders of the House. Nelson Eche Dafiamakpo is a whip on his side, and then also Jerry Ahmed Shaib is a whip on the side. So they have that common denominator. Again, they are your colleague lawyers. Were you expecting for lawyers and leaders to be behaving in the way they did in Parliament?
Johnny, these are two senior lawyers. They are not just lawyers.
Right.
And they are my very good friends. Mm-hmm. And I have the highest respect and regard for them. And they know. I mean, we talk on daily basis. Now, Johnny, if I tell you that these are not the people that I know outside of the Parliament House,
right,
you'll be amazed. They are the best of people. I mean, when it comes to our job, profession as a lawyer, they can literally fight you in open court. But the moment you leave the courtroom, can even share a bowl with you.
I see.
They understand the game. That your anger at every material time, under no circumstance would your anger lead you to the point where we all witnessed a couple of days ago. And so I can not imagine what could have caused what actually happened on that day. Because it's unlike the people we are dealing with. That's not their character at all, far from that. They are the best of gentlemen. And so for me, it's rather amazing because they have done this for several years, at least the last 15 years. This is what they've been doing, fighting each other in court and still finding room to smile, to break bread and live life as though nothing ever happened the next minute ago. A minute earlier.
On 3 FM, the best.
I see.
These are the sort of characters.
So are you surprised?
Completely astonished as to how this could have happened, particularly for the people that we are dealing with. For the non-lawyers, without being disrespectful, I can't speak for them. But for the lawyers, it is part of the training of a lawyer to be angry and still manage your emotions such that you never have to throw your leg or any part of your limbs. We don't do that.
I see. Well, Musa, let me bring you back into the conversation and ask you have done an extensive job. Now, let's look at the committee now. It has been recomposed. The work you did was on the former committee. You still have some of the members of the former committee on this committee. What cues should they be taking from the work that you did?
I think they will be foolhardy if they ignore it. Public perception is very important in political activities. And luckily for them, we are there gauging that sentiment and giving them feedback. I will be surprised if they ignore that feedback and continue the same tangent. That would be a suicidal mission for anyone to continue.
But you know that most of the political actors have found reason to discard your work in not so distant past, really, or gives you the indication that this committee will yield to you at this time, especially when the stakes are high. You've seen the minority at its best trying to say, look, we don't want this, we want that. They insist on rights and what should be done and what should not be done. I'm just thinking.
You know, when you have come out of election that you have lost, you may be tempted to do things that you feel that it would kind of galvanize your people or galvanize your base and make you popular. But you must do so within some confide and public perception. If you get this wrong, I think you're working your numbers in the polls. The people would like to be the opposition that you want to be, but also be opposition that is reasonable. If you look at the poll that we just published, it shows that voters believe overwhelmingly that the vetting is being used to score political points.
Right.
They must learn from that, and they must make sure that the vetting line of question is really to unearth the competence or lack of competence of that individual, and whether that individual can deliver what he's been asked to do as a minister or she. And that must be aligned with the priority of voters.
The work that you did, about 1,000 people that you spoke with across the country, 14% say they are not satisfied at all with the work of the committee. 23% say they are not satisfied. 34% say they are somehow satisfied. 20% say they are very satisfied. And then 8% say they are extremely satisfied. What exactly should they be doing to raise the very satisfied and extremely satisfied, figures up? And what figures are we looking at, by the way?
I can't project into the future figures. But you see, there are individuals like us. They have friends. They have families. They listen to social media. They should read and listen to what people are saying. And like that, I cannot tell them what to do. They are more smarter than me. Some of them are lawyers of good repute.
I see. Mr. Dankwa, we thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. That's Musa Dankwa of Global Info Analytics joining us here. Now let's go back to private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi. Justice, I'll ask you, these are the figures that Musa Dankwa has, really. If I ask you, as a political watcher as well, CSO practitioner, private legal practitioner, what will be your own impression about the committee thus far?
Johnny, I have my lows and downs about the entire vetting processes. It's very disappointing at a point, particularly for the majority who sing almost the same song. It's as if some of them rehearse their position before they come. I think that the people that have been nominated by President Mahama are not people who cannot do the job. They are not people who do not have the necessary qualifications to defend their positions and also project their own capacities out there. And so when the president has thought about the capacity of such persons, most of whom are very respected in what they do, and they appear before you for vetting, exercising your constitutional mandate to let the people of Ghana know the sort of persons that are going to lead us in the next 4 years, depending on the pledge of the president. And the only question you ask him, but when given the opportunity to prove this person, and you tell the person, I know you're honorable, Mr. Nominee, and I know you can do the job, and congratulations, Mr. Nominee. And this kind of line of comments that you see across is really disappointing. It is very disappointing, disheartening. I would expect that because you know the person, because you trust in the capacity, because you believe in the vision of the president, that should be a basis for you to rather bring out the best in this kind in the nominee. And the way you do that is to rather be more probing than the majority. Let's remember that everybody is saying that the minority is being mischievous.
Right.
And that is because the majority has allowed that to happen. I think the majority were asking the most relevant questions and allowing the nominees to project their own competence and their skills to the rest of us. Everything else done by the minority will be much ado about nothing. But at this moment, we literally are turning out to make the minority rather look like the heroes. And as a result, using all kinds of mischief to achieve whatever objective they may have.
I see. Now, again, question is, people have complained about the chairman of the committee. Do you think that the comments that have been made about him is fair enough, that he's not firm, he's not able to control the meeting and all of that?
I think we should sometimes understand that this is his first time in this portfolio. I think this is his second term in office, and he happens to be given such a huge responsibility. For the beginning, we should allow for mistakes and errors to happen. But I expect that he grows out of the observations made by Ghanaians. I expect him to grow out of it. I do not think that the party erred in nominating him, but I think he could do better going forward, and I expect him to grow out of some of the criticisms that is leveled against him.
What about the minority leader, Alexander Kwame Afejomakin? Is he doing the most, or is he overdoing what he's supposed to be doing?
To be fair, I think Afejomakin is simply being a lawyer. If you've noticed a line of questions, some of them may come across as irrelevant, but sometimes that's what lawyers do. You try to lay a foundation. Sometimes you try to make the thing so simple and easy and welcoming for the person, just so you can elicit the unthinkable questions from him. And so he might not be pleasing the general public. I think he's achieving his objective, notwithstanding the difficulties he encounters.
Thank you, Justice Abdullahi. He's a private legal practitioner with Crown Legal Bureau in Accra, and we're grateful for your time, sir.
Anytime, Johnny.
Great.
You're my brother.
Great. Now let's talk to Professor David Abdullahi, a Senior Governance Advisor, Africa Parliamentary Network. Prof, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
And I'm sure that you've been following proceedings in Parliament, suspension of the 4 MPs, the direction of the Speaker to the police, and possibly they could be surcharged for all of it.
Yes.
Is the Speaker speaking your mind, or did he speak your mind? Let me ask you.
Well, first of all, Johnny, let me ask you this way. If you destroy public property, is it a crime? If it is a crime, then is anyone above the law? So as lawmakers, they should actually uphold the law. There's nothing wrong with you being frustrated and trying to, show your frustration, but you don't take it out on public property. Secondly, I think the last time I spoke to you, I said it was a disgrace for people who are supposed to make the law are actually in the process of breaking the laws. What about if their kids were watching what they were doing? What kind of education are you impacting on those kids? I therefore say that, in my opinion, say whatever you want. It is not in the Constitution. It is not part of their new standing orders. But in my opinion, I think the Speaker has come across to show that, irresponsibility and lawlessness should not be part of our, our discourse, our democracy.
Well, the minority in Parliament has issued a press statement dated the 31st of January 2025. Paragraph 3 of that statement says that the Speaker's decision to unilaterally suspend these 3 MPs without due process in accordance with provisions enshrined in Standing Orders 130 A and B, without an opportunity for them to be heard under Article 19(1) of the Constitution, and without first exhausting internal disciplinary mechanisms, sets a dangerous precedent. It signals an era where the Speaker can arbitrarily punish members of Parliament based on perceived disobedience rather than the adherence to parliamentary rules and fairness. What do you say to this, Prof?
I think this is nitpicking. Yes, there might not be rules in their standing orders specifically addressing that. Yes, there's nothing in our Constitution addressing that. I think that is why I support, and I've always said it, I think in your previous shows, that what the current president is doing, putting together a committee to look at our constitution, making sure that it is redressed to attack some of these things, because our constitution has served us for for about 30 years now. So these are the issues. They might have the right to say that it is unilateral XYZ. What do we do? This is not the first time that we have seen these things in our parliament. Wasn't it the case even during the current speaker's first time he was being voted, that there was a ruckus in parliament, which was really uncalled for?
Right.
So I think, we as a society, if we want to grow, we shouldn't nitpick. We should try to say, okay, I didn't see anywhere in the press statement where they said the parliamentarians, both in the majority and the minority that have been suspended, are wrong. Or, and they see that. Did you see that in the press?
No, I didn't see that.
Are they therefore condoning the fact that what the parliamentarians did is right? So let's be measured in what we say. Look, leadership is not a popularity contest. They were voted to represent their people, not to come and break government property. I mean, it's not called for. I am against that.
Well, if you look at the closing 2 paragraphs, in fact 3 paragraphs, they say,
yes,
we categorically reject the suspension of these 3 MPs and demand an immediate reversal of this politically charged decision. If this unjustifiable action is not addressed, it will set a precedent where the Speaker becomes an unchecked authority, weaponizing disciplinary measures against those who do not align with his preferred political narratives. 8. Parliament must remain a bastion of democracy, not as an institution of oppression. The Ghanaian people deserve a parliament where all voices are heard, not one where members are punished for their commitment to due process and accountability. And finally, 9, democracy thrives on fairness and justice, and we will not sit idle while our parliamentary democracy is undermined by selective application of rules. This is what the minority thinks.
Yes. The minority, what the minority is saying, that the suspension of the parliamentarians is wrong, right?
That's right. They say it's wrong. They reject it.
Yes. If the Speaker has made a misstep, what he has done is he has been able to put together a committee to look into this situation, and has called the police to look into this station.
That's right.
Yes, there might be a misstep, but do we continuously ask, and since I said it's not the first time, do we continuously as a country continue all the time to have our leaders engage in fist fight? Is that what we voted them into parliament for? So I think the minority has their opinion, which they have expressed. I didn't even see anywhere in the press statement where they mentioned the member of the majority. I think the majority whip has not been mentioned. He's a parliamentarian. So what it is doing is actually casting, a bad image on Parliament. And if there was some kind of a survey in the Ghanaian populace to find out what has happened, I think most of the people will tell you they are appalled. So whatever it is, let's work together to solve it. I think the revision of the Constitution should address that. And I think the new standing orders, if it doesn't cover that, should address that. And it should give the, the Speaker, the amount of powers he has in cases like that. I know when you are in the committee, the chair of the committee can send you out for a whole day.
Right.
And also, if it is in the plenary, the Speaker can do that.
Right.
But what they are saying, they also have a point. But then it doesn't override the fact that when you are a member of Parliament, you should act in a certain way that denigrates, the image of Parliament.
Now, Prof, there are 2 whips in the among the 4 that have been suspended thus far. There is Arnold Eche Dafiamapo, who is on the side of the majority, who is a whip. There is also Arnold Dompre. In fact, 3 whips. Arnold Dompre, on the side of the majority, and there's Jerry Ahmed Shaib, who is deputy to Arno Dompre. We know that whips in our parliamentary system are supposed to be ensuring discipline. Two of these persons are lawyers, and we see this lawlessness happening. So where's the discipline and where's the lawfulness of the action? I'm asking, were they whipping or were they being whipped?
Look, let me tell you, I would look at it from a macro perspective.
Right.
You know, Johnny, in our society today, there is lawlessness. There is indiscipline. I mean, you see it all the time, whereby the youth are even going in and breaking things and stuff like that because they don't agree with something. You know, we must rise above that. And when you talk about these people who are whips, who should know better and are lawyers, don't you see that you yourself are appalled by their behavior? I might not agree with you, but let the law take its course. And that is one of the things also I wanted to talk about. The laws in this country must begin to be not ruthless bulldogs. They just bark, but they must bite. And I think if we don't do that and we live in a lawless society, I mean, we're not going to develop. Johnny, when you are leaving home, somebody can just stop you and take your car away from you.
Right.
That's not right.
Right.
Or for example, I disagree with you, then I hit you. I mean, I can disagree with you and get angry, but whatever it is, tempest should calm down. And leadership is about that.
Right.
I've been in situations myself whereby, you know, people make me so angry and I want to take the law into my own hands. But I tell myself, if I do that, someone will say, but you are a professor, you should know better. Why are you taking the law into your own hands? I'll repeat the same. These are lawmakers. They are lawyers. They are people who represent their... Should they do that? Should they... We don't see that. So in a way, even though technically the speaker might have overstepped his bound, but if you look at it morally, I think it's not right.
Now, there's a clerk to the committee that has been called out by the minority leader as being partisan. And she said that she will not be allowed to do the partisanship, etc., and all of that. What are your views, Prof?
Johnny, again, it's an allegation. How can they prove she's partisan? Do they have incontrovertible facts? They are lawyers. They should understand. Once you accuse somebody, you have to have facts to support it. But it's an allegation. The majority can also impose another allegation. So it's allegation against allegation. I think at the end of the day, that is why I think the laws need to be relooked at. The laws of the standing orders of Parliament, as well as when the people are reviewing this constitution, they should make recommendations and make sure that things fall into the right spot. But for me, at this point, I think it's an allegation. They have to be able to prove incontrovertibly that the person is partisan. I can say, hey, Johnny, you are partisan. Are you partisan? Have I proved that you are partisan? It doesn't make sense. I think we should be rational in our thinking. And when we say things, we should not say it out of emotion. We should say it based upon the fact that we have incontrovertible facts.
Thank you very much, Professor David Abdullahi, Senior Governance Advisor, Parliamentary Network Africa. We're grateful that you joined us here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's some 11 minutes after 9 here on 3FM 92.7. It's 3FM Sunrise. Listen to the brawl in Parliament and watch on our Facebook page.
I'm not to them, and that's why...
There's a statement from the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, the Minority Caucus in Parliament. They have a statement dated the 31st of January 2025 as headed a suspension of 3 members of Parliament in the minority. I want to read it to you in full. The first paragraph says the decision by the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Aban Somana Kingsford Bagman, on Friday, the 31st of January 2025, to suspend these 3 distinguished members of Parliament of the New Patriotic Party, Honourable Frank Anodompre, Nswame Dredri, Alasan Suleimana Tambuli of Gushegu, and Honourable Jerry Ameshai of Wejagbawe, is an unfortunate overreach of parliamentary authority, a blatant display of selective justice, and an attack on the democratic principles that underpin our legislative process. 2. The events that transpired during the vetting of ministerial nominees were born out of deep-seated frustrations regarding the conduct of proceedings, the disregard for due process, and the majority's attempt to railroad decisions without consensus building of Parliament by its very nature is a forum for a robust debate and passionate deliberations. The unfortunate incident that led to minor property damage was not as planned a planned disruption, but a manifestation of the growing tensions caused by the majority and their members and the failure of the chairman of the Appointments Committee to exercise impartiality. 3. The Speaker's decision to unilaterally suspend these 3 MPs without due process in accordance with provisions enshrined in Standing Orders 130A and B without an opportunity for them to be heard under Article 19(1) of the Constitution and without first exhausting internal disciplinary mechanisms sets a dangerous precedent. It signals an era where the Speaker can arbitrarily punish members of Parliament based on perceived disobedience rather than adherence to parliamentary rules and fairness. 4. The Speaker himself has on numerous occasions presided over a Parliament where similar or worse incidents occurred, yet no such punitive measures were taken. The refusal to apply the same standard in previous instances makes his decision appear politically motivated, aimed at intimidating certain members of Parliament and silencing dissent. It goes on to say in paragraph 5 that it is important to recall that during the previous parliamentary chaos, particularly during the controversial 2021 speakership election at the public hearing on the nomination for promotion of 2 Supreme Court judges on the 30th of July 2024 and the brawl in Parliament over e-levy, where a member of the NDC physically assaulted a member of the majority caucus on the 8th of Parliament, the Speaker adopted a reconciliatory approach at all instances. Why then does he choose at this moment to impose harsh and selective punishment? This inconsistency undermines his credibility as a neutral arbiter and exposes a worrying bias that must be called out. 6. Furthermore, the Speaker's approach disregards the fact that Parliament is a house of debate, sometimes heated, and members have a duty to ensure that due process is followed. The Speaker's role is to facilitate dialogue and not to punish lawmakers for standing their ground in the face of procedural unfairness. 7. We categorically reject the suspension of these 3 MPs and demand an immediate reversal of this politically charged decision. If this unjustifiable action is not addressed, it will set a precedent where the Speaker becomes an unchecked authority, weaponizing disciplinary measures against those who do not align with his preferred political narratives. 8. Parliament must remain a bastion of democracy, not as an institution of oppression. The Ghanaian people deserve a Parliament where all voices are heard, not only one where members are punished for their commitment to due process and accountability. And finally, 9, democracy thrives on fairness and justice, and we will not sit idle while our parliamentary democracy is undermined by selective application of the rules. That's from the minority in Parliament to you and I here on 3FM Sunrise on 90. Good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great.
To speak to you.
The clerk to the Appointment Committee in Parliament has been fingered as being politically biased and favoring your side in Parliament. What do you say to that?
Well, clearly, anyone who accuses a clerk of being biased is either embarking on a journey to nowhere, because clerks could only be accused of being biased to the extent that maybe they would write a report that the minority feels that the report is tilted in a way other than what transpired at the committee level. But even then, a draft report is never a final report. And usually, the chairman and the ranking of a committee are given opportunity to go through a draft before the same draft is laid. That was why, if you remember, when one report was to be considered, the minority leader rushed to the chamber at the time Honorable Yao Wama was already seconding the motion and arrested the secondment of that motion and made a statement that they had earlier taken a position, and upon that position certain things have happened, and they wanted what happened to reflect in the report. And he only wanted to make a statement that whilst Yao Wama continued to second the motion, he would want to go through the report and to find out whether that now final position is reflective in the report. So it tells you what we go through. At committee levels, it is the chair who calls meeting to order. It is not the clerk. The clerk will not direct the chairman that starts. The chairman knows his members. And if the chairman is satisfied that the committee has formed a quorum and can deliberate on matters, and he so invites the clerk to call a witness to appear before them, why blame the clerk for being biased? The clerk has no role in calling a witness to take a seat. It is the chairman. And at committee levels, we actually don't deliberate on partisan lines. We don't deliberate at committee levels on partisan lines. That is why the chair of a committee do not have an original vote. As
Hello, Ms. Adams.
committee speakers are presiding, sometimes they can still be counted. They are still counted. The chair of a committee cannot vote.
Sunrise on 3FM, the best.
I see.
So accusing the clerk the way and manner the minority did was absolutely wrong.
But they insist, the minority insists that some of the nominees were snuck in because you had an agreement and the clerk, summoned the meeting without necessarily inviting them and all of that. Those allegations were made.
Well, there is always a schedule that has been agreed and people are invited. And once people have been invited and they are there, it is now the discretion of the chairman to state whether we will hear them or not. It is no longer the clerk's responsibility. It's the chairman who will decide whether to hear them or not. Once people have been invited and schedules have been put out, for example, on Thursday, the committee was to commence its sitting at 8 a.m.
Right.
And at 8 a.m., they were to start with Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpo from 8 to 9. Then from 9 to 10 was the turn of Honorable Dr. Mutala Mohammed. Then follows Sam George from 10 to 11. Then I was to follow from 11 to 12. Then the committee will take a 30-minute break for lunch and return from 12:30 to 1:30 to hear Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa. Then on and on and on. They were expected to listen to about 6 nominees on Thursday. First, the meeting commenced very late. 2, Honorable Ablakwa was scheduled to be heard. So he didn't appear there having been smuggled. He has been invited. Honorable Akando has also been scheduled. Just that sometimes when you have been scheduled on paper, there can be a shift that instead of you appearing maybe second or third, they may say you appear fourth because of certain developments that have happened.
Right.
For one nominee may have to go and attend to something or the other.
Okay.
So all those persons appeared there, having been invited and scheduled by the committee, and nobody was smuggled in. But my other point I want to make is that the statement from the minority that seeks to suggest that only 3 persons were suspended by Mr. Speaker and from their side is also false. We are aware that the majority chief whip was also suspended.
Right.
We may disagree that he was trying to protect the sanctity of the committee, but he has been added by Mr. Speaker. So for a statement to suggest that only the minority side suffered the suspension is also wrong.
But beyond that, they also insist, for example, that the Speaker had taken an arbitrary position. He had not heard any of the persons, and the Speaker himself had presided over similar situations where he had asked for consensus and peace to prevail. He didn't take such harsh decisions. What do you say to that, Mr. Adams?
Well, the truth is that the Speaker, as per our standing orders, have such powers to suspend a member, even in plenary sittings.
Right.
Where a member is found to be unruly and not listening to the Speaker suo moto, without any committee, without reference, without hearing the member anymore, can walk a member out, suspend a member. The Speaker can do so. And speakers in the past have done so. You remember Honorable Hassan Suhini was once suspended by
Speaker
Michael Kwe.
Right.
So speakers have done so without hearing them. Once they feel that the behavior of a member is unparliamentary, the speakers have done so in the past. So I don't see why anyone will suggest that the Speaker will have to put a committee in place, hear them before taking such immediate decisions. The Speaker can take such decisions and still refer the matter, like he has done, refer the matter to a special committee, because we do not have any of our standing committees to deal with such matters. So he's referred it to a special committee chaired by Honorable Bejra to look into the matters and present a report that may bring more further sanctions.
Right. They are asking for the immediate recall of their members who have been suspended, the 3 that have been mentioned, as Anodom Prehas and Tampoli, and then also Jerry Ahmed Shaib. What do you say to that?
Well, the Parliament will sit tomorrow. The Speaker has given his directives on that matter. They can always bring a petition before the House, and the Speaker is minded to listen to the petition, and further actions will be taken on that.
Now, before you go, Mr. Minister, an unfortunate situation happened yesterday. Pole, a prominent and passionate Asante Kotoko supporter, stabbed to death in their match with Inswatre. Man, what do you say to that? I mean, this is not a good start at all for you as Minister for Youth and Sports.
Well, let me first correct that I'm Minister Designate.
Okay,
I haven't taken my oath yet.
Right.
It's quite an unfortunate incident. We've been trying to ramp up and bring back the love and to encourage supporters and fans to at least be at the stadium when their teams are playing, to at least cheer them up. Incidents such as this, hooliganism such as this, will keep some persons away, and we must not tolerate it. I would make sure that this matter doesn't end here. We're going to go into it, and anyone that is found culpable as having been the initiator, the arranger, the pusher for this incident will be punished, and punished appropriately, such that nobody will repeat that. Whether you are a club owner, you are a club bank roller, or whoever you are, if you are found to have caused this, leading to a loss of life, you will be punished and punished appropriately. The punishment will be such that nobody would even dream, whether home or away, to attempt to do that in our sports. we're not going to leave this matter. People will be punished severely. And it is upon this that I call on the Ghana Police Service to do the right thing and investigate this matter. There are videos, evidence, images are seen, movement of persons are clear, and they know each other. They must identify everybody, take statements from persons who are speaking, who witnessed the incidents, and present an appropriate report. Because criminal prosecution would happen in this matter.
Great. Now, before you go, yesterday the video that we saw an ambulance parked there, as is supposed to be the case, waiting for any casualties, and we saw some
matters that
policemen there, and we didn't see the police either moving. We didn't see the ambulance driver.
The proper location of ambulances and their response, and we're going to look into that. That's why I'm saying there will be detailed investigation. How did the ambulance respond? Were they called? Were they invited to the incident? Did they refuse, as we are being told, to move? Do they have that right to refuse? How were they there? All these are matters that an investigation will unearth, and we will take appropriate decisions on every incident that occurred yesterday at the match between Asante Kotoko and Swatraman FC.
Kofi Adams, MP for Boehm, and also incoming Minister Designate for Sports and Recreation. Just as a matter of curiosity, this recreation part, people have been asking me to ask you, well, what is it about? Music and dance, we're going to do jams for us. What exactly does it entail?
Well, it's not all sports that is for competitive and the excellence nature of it. Some sports is just for recreation, for the enjoyment of it, for the inclusivity of it. So it is not every sport that will be promoted as a competitive sport, the excellence nature of it, and to compete and win a laurel. Some of it is just done for purposes of recreation, like what sometimes the media outlets promote. I think over the weekend, TV3 and your FM.
It was 3FM. We did the fit to
such an event is recreational by nature.
I see.
It's not competitive. So we want to encourage such things and link it up so that we can have a healthy nation. That if we are able to do so and promote it, that for all of us, at least once, if not once every 2 weeks, at least we are able to do it even once a month. It will bring out certain things in our systems which can be further investigated. So that is just the recreation part of it.
In fact,
for its inclusivity and its enjoyment of it.
I see. Mr. Minister, let me take this opportunity to invite you to our 3FM Fist Start Walk and Challenge. It's 60 days, so one of these days we'll call you to come and join us one of these Saturdays when you are not in Boehm.
Actually, but for the fact that I have to go to the constituency due to some other engagement, a number of funerals, I would have surprised you with my presence.
We will look forward to that surprise, Pa. And finally, before you go, the youth resource centers, also recreational, that the previous administration had in mind. For example, the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex and many others, about 20 or so of them. If you go there, you will not be so excited. And week on week, the young people want to go and just do the aerobics and play small football, have fun and go away. Has it come to your attention, and do you have any plans for them, sir?
Well, the high-level deterioration of our sports infrastructure has truly come to the attention of any serious mind in this country. And I can assure you that we will look into it and see what we can do. Government alone will not have the funds to do all the necessary refurbishment or modernization of some of these facilities. But we will collaborate with the private sector. Why, 3FM, you just did an event.
Yes,
you didn't do it by yourself. You invited corporate Ghana to join in and to support. So why wouldn't the whole government, if we do things and we prove credibility, can get corporate Ghana to come in and refurbish some of these facilities and even be given some naming right? I know if 3FM has the capacity, they want to refurbish one of these youth resource centers and maybe be named 3FM so and so youth resource center.
3FM, the best.
You may love it. There are many corporates that will want to do such things. And so, first and foremost, we must establish our level of credibility. We must bring back the love. We must not allow what happened yesterday to happen again, because no corporate body will want to associate its brand with such incidents.
Right.
And so we need to do what is right. We need to allow proper governance of our sports. And when you are inviting the corporates to come in, they will be so willing to come because they know at the end of the day, their image will not be damaged.
Kofi Adams, MP for Boehm and Minister Designate for Sports, and we wish you all the best ahead. Congratulations. We know you'll be sworn in very soon, so congratulations to you regardless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much there. And that's Kofi Adams. But let's listen to Pole, the popular Asante Kotoko fan who was murdered gruesomely yesterday. Listen.
That is today. Individual brilliance. Please, not everyone might give up on all. That is today, your brilliance. Seeking our place of prayer. Let it prevent. Let the young man. By praying over the time. That's in our phone. That's in our phone. That's in the king of phones. That is ready. That is ready. We have prayers when you have to for me. Ọba Afọlì, ó pè é yàtúntò rẹ̀ ní màmá, ó tún fàyà fàyà. Wọ́n yẹ Ọba Afọlì fàyà, ó tún wà bọ́ọ̀lù, nígbà tó pé ó tún wà bọ́ọ̀lù. Ó yẹ fọ́ọ̀tì náà ní ayọ̀ ọba.
Sunrise on 3FM. The best in the morning is on 92.7. Sunrise on 3FM.